Welcome everyone to the House of Wellness.
Today, the next generation of pain relief and how it can help you.
My pain level has dropped significantly.
The curse of bad breath. Why it's bad news for your health.
And later, the solution for mothers struggling with postnatal depression.
And I was just sitting there crying and crying.
It's a show packed with inspiration, nutrition and advice on living the best life you can.
Wow, that was so awesome.
So let's all get well, stay well, live well and look fabulous.
Right here in the House of Wellness. Hello there, welcome to your Healthy Tune-Up again today. Welcome back to you too, Zoe.
Yes, hello everyone. It is great to be here and it's great to see that we're tackling another big parenting story today. Everyone talks about the bond between mother and baby, but what about the bond between dad and baby? It's just as crucial, but it's often neglected.
Yeah, it's really kind of a tricky one, you know. Of course, birth's so much about mother and baby, fair enough. Dad inevitably takes a bit of a secondary role and it's hard to kind of break out of it. We'll look at how to change that a little bit later on in the show. And the big daddy, we have the father of all pharmacists
Hey,
with
Big
us.
Daddy.
Welcome back to you, Gerald Quigley.
On the A to Z of vitamins today, we're going to have a chat about some soothing remedies for coughs and sore throats.
All right, thanks Gerald, looking forward to that. But first, something most of us will experience at some stage in our lives, chronic pain. It can be debilitating and impact almost every aspect of your life.
Yes, according to Pain Australia, 1 in 5 of us lives with chronic pain and it's the third most costly health condition in the country.
Well, with figures like those, chronic pain deserved a closer look, we thought. So James Tobin has done just that. Hi, JT.
Yeah, g'day guys. Look, I guess everyone has experienced acute pain at some point, but it's that deep-seated chronic pain. Often those sufferers keep quiet. They work out a way to deal with it silently. So if you've ever experienced overwhelming pain or if you've got chronic pain yourself, this is a story you don't want to miss.
Pain is something you feel in the body, but it impacts your entire life. It's a social thing, it's a psycho thing, it's financial, it's career.
Pain. It's our body's way of telling us something's wrong, but it can be impossible to ignore. And incredibly, 1 in 5 Australians live with chronic pain, which can be debilitating. Now, as you know, regulations came in recently that mean that medications containing codeine need to be by prescription. So today we're looking at some alternatives to pain relief, things that are medication-free. Leah Dwyer's been living with constant pain for 10 years after suffering a whiplash injury to her neck. Ironically, she works as a massage therapist, helping others relieve their pain.
If you've ever woken up in the morning and thought, oh my God, what did I do? I slept funny, can't move to the left or the right or whatever. I wake up like that every single morning, and I've woken up like that for 10 years. So it's relentless, for starters. And I discovered codeine. And 2 a night became 2 at night and 2 in the morning, 2 during the day. After a couple of years, I was on 12 to 14 a day, just to live properly and just to work and have a family, 2 kids. One of them is severely disabled.
Codeine is an opioid drug, closely related to morphine. It can be addictive. And according to Professor Paul Glare from the Pain Management Research Institute, there's good reason for tighter regulation.
The number of people dying from painkillers each year in Australia is now the same number as road fatalities, and so that's a serious point in public health, and so that's why there's a crackdown, and I think it was like approximately 100 deaths a year attributed to codeine.
The new legislation was the motivation for Leah to confront her addiction.
So I thought, I'm not going to a doctor and asking for more codeine. I need to make a big change here. And that's when I went to my pharmacist and I said, I need help. And she helped me set up a schedule of tapering off.
Leah now manages her pain with exercise, regular massage and low doses of paracetamol and ibuprofen.
So these days, I'm still very active. I'm still kayaking every morning. I spend a lot more time with my children. I'm not as tired all the time. And in fact, my pain level has dropped significantly. because there's no addiction issue happening anymore. Codeine doesn't have its hooks in me and isn't asking for more and more and more.
When it comes to long-term pain management, drugs are not always the answer. And while the ancient practice of acupuncture has been soothing people's chronic pain for thousands of years, in the 21st century, it's become the most popular form of alternative pain relief. Waveney Holland is one of the most respected practitioners in the country.
Acupuncture, there's quite a few studies that have actually shown, and good quality studies that have shown that acupuncture is very good at relieving different kinds of pain, low back pain, osteoarthritis of the knee, migraines and headaches, tension headaches. And it works so effectively and much more long-term without the need for some of these medications, because it is harder now that they've taken codeine off the shelves.
How does it actually work?
Well, in Chinese medicine, we talk about qi, which is the Chinese word for energy, and the ancients have talked about qi flowing through the channels in the body. When someone is in pain, the qi or the energy in that channel becomes stuck or obstructed. The flow of qi doesn't occur, and so there's pain at the point of obstruction, and the area beyond that doesn't work so well because the energy is not getting through. So when we put a needle in or do acupressure or the laser acupuncture, it flows, it breaks up that obstruction, which means either no pain or less pain, and the area beyond that starts working again because the energy is getting through.
You know, at the moment, pain relief is getting a lot of news headlines, and there's a lot of talk about really strong drugs out there. But it's interesting now to see how many drug-free options there are and what a difference they can really make.
Gosh, it seems like there are lots of different ways that we can manage our pain.
Yeah, that's right, so. And it's really individual. So for certain people, some things won't be appropriate, but it may be being outdoors more, exercising, walking. It could be stretching, yoga, acupuncture like I did. I guess the point is there are non-drug options, and it's definitely worth exploring.
Gerald, we've seen earlier this year codeine now not so readily available. The people are a little worried about how to manage their pain.
What it's done, Ed, it's brought pain more to the fore because we've been able to probably rely on codeine as a bit of a band-aid remedy where you can keep pain relatively under control. So what this has done now is actually opened up a whole plethora of options which have probably been there but haven't been mainstream. And that's a very exciting time. So we're actually getting the underlying issues covered.
And how does stress affect pain and pain affect stress?
Hand in hand, Zoe. A person who is in pain is stressed, as you can imagine, and that adds more inflammation, which adds to pain. So it's an ongoing cycle of misery, and it can cause anxiety and depression, and the health ramifications are huge.
All right, thanks, Gerald. Thanks, James. We'll catch up with you guys a little bit later on the show, and you can always follow up these sorts of stories via our website. houseofwellness.com.au is a great one for advice, tips, recipes, and so on.
And if you want to call any of us, 1800 469 788.
And Facebook is always a great one to have handy when you're checking in with family and friends. Check in with us too. House of Wellness is our site.
Yes, lots on the show today. Now, if you suffer from eczema, we may have the solution for you. And the mystery of bad breath is going to be solved.
Later, we look into ways for dads to bond with their babies.
But coming up next, we meet volunteers turning food waste into healthy, balanced meals.
I love feeding people that really need nutritious, delicious food.
Loads more to come here on the House of Wellness.
Welcome back to you all. Now, our House Hero segment this week features a group of volunteers who have quite a unique way to help those in need.
Yes, so they rescue food that would otherwise go to waste, turning it into healthy and nutritious meals. But it's why these volunteers do what they do that will steal your hearts.
Our volunteers are people that have a heart. They're people that care about the community, and they're people who've learnt the secret that giving back brings a lot of joy in itself. They're happy people, and their well-being has been enhanced by doing something meaningful for others. Our mission is to rescue food that would otherwise be wasted and to cook it into beautiful, nutritious meals for people who need it. We rescue something like 800 tonnes of surplus quality food a year. and we cook that into about 1.2 million meals. And we hear some harrowing stories of people who find themselves in really desperate circumstances from no fault of their own.
I love rescuing food for a start, feeding people that really need nutritious, delicious food, and working with our volunteers. It's amazing the amount of people that have come in here and want to spend their time helping other people.
Over 800, to my knowledge, that are involved in volunteering at FareShare, whether it's doing a food prep shift, cleaning shift, drivers, sorting stuff, people working in the FareShare gardens that we have. So it's a big volunteer base.
I really like coming here. It's completely different to everything else I do in my life, and I can't stand seeing food wasted, and this is just fabulous. It makes me very happy. It's a joy to come here.
You've got good people coming together to make a difference, and there's something very powerful about that. So we see some wonderful friendships baked in our kitchen. We all know it's fantastic for your well-being. There's been a lot of research that actually shows that volunteers are happier people, and that giving often has more pleasure than receiving. And it might be a secret, but we've discovered it here, and our volunteers are generally a very happy bunch of people.
Very, very rewarding, and you do feel very fulfilled when you walk through the door.
What an amazing bunch of people. Can you believe, though, we Aussies throw away around 3.1 million tonnes of food each year?
Yeah.
It's a staggering amount. Now, if you live in Melbourne, as we saw, and you'd like to get involved, you can find all the info on how to contact them on our website, houseofwellness.com.au.
And you know what? I love that when you volunteer, you're not only doing good for the people you're helping, it actually makes you feel so good yourself.
Absolutely. Now, switching tack, becoming a father for the first time was one of the most amazing times of my life. But for many men, we understand it can be a really challenging time, especially when you're figuring out how to connect, really bond with your newborn baby.
Yeah, and for mums, that connection can sometimes be instant. You know, we've carried the baby for 9 precious months, and then there's feeding, which can also help develop the nurturing bond between the mother and the baby.
Yeah, you guys get a little head start, obviously, but it's Dad's baby too, so how can dads be involved? Here to tell us how we men can share the load of baby love is baby care author and mummy expert Pinky McKay. Lovely to have you in radiant colour with us today. Bonding with a newborn, though, can be really overwhelming, especially if it's the first time too.
That's right.
Why is it so?
Well, the mums have this, you know, all the hormones going, but I think that make them very protective of the baby. So often they're sort of really protective of the baby and they're keeping that dad just a little bit. And he doesn't know how to get into that circle.
Yes.
Indeed, it can take weeks, can it not, for a father to feel really bonded?
It can, yes. It can take quite a while. But, you know, you can get in there. You can start bonding during pregnancy even.
Can you? How do you do that?
Well, by about 30 weeks during pregnancy, the babies can recognise their own father's voice, the research says. So talk to the bump, sing to it, you know, and get involved, you know, discuss with the mum and all that sort of thing. But also the mum's pheromones, being close to them, the dad or the partner can start to churn out their own little margarita of hormones that makes them responsive to the baby too. But I think we need to step back though.
Yeah, it's true. Well, just after I gave birth, one of my favourite moments was this. I've got a photo here for you of Benji and baby Fox, skin on skin, having a little snuggle. Is that a really good...
That is divine. That is the tip of the day. You know, popping that baby on Dad's chest. Yeah. They've got all those elements of bonding. You know, they've got the smell, they've got the hearing the heartbeat.
Biomicrobe?
Microbiomes.
Sorry, the wrong way around.
Yes. So they're connecting. They've got the smell. They've got the heartbeat. They've got the voice, the echoes, the movement of the chest, and the the big deep voice box. If you're holding that baby, you know, even snuggling their head, it's very calming for the baby.
Great. I mean, I literally had mine handed to me within about 30 minutes of him being born, and they left me in the hospital room just like I'm like, is someone going to come and supervise me? I don't know what I'm doing.
What am I doing with this thing?
But it was beautiful. It was the most beautiful half hour or so.
And you can do that at home too. It doesn't just stop at birth.
What else can we do to encourage dads to bond with the babies?
I think it's often good to give them a job, like that excellent baby calmers. You know, step up when the baby's unsettled, because they don't smell like milk. If you've got a baby that's a little bit unsettled, they're not going to keep going. You know, it's automatic for them to go to the boob if they can smell that milk. Yes. So Dad's a great baby calmer. He can wear the baby. He can learn baby massage, which is a chore, you know, a little job that partners can do that can be just theirs.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful way to connect.
Yeah, cute. I mean, in truth, we're going to do things wrong, aren't we? But we're going to have a go at it.
It really doesn't matter if the singlet's on back the front. You know,
Just try and make the nappy on the right way, because you can have an accident.
Yes.
Great tips, Pinky. Thank you for those. Importantly, tame the mother lioness, I think, was something
That's
along
right.
the words, right?
Tame that mother
Step back,
lioness.
mums. Let us have a go, all right? Dads, get your shirt off. Get that skin on skin. There's nothing softer than a newborn, is there?
yummy.
Oh, so yummy. And don't let any sort of performance anxiety hinder you, dads. Jump in and have a go. You probably do it right.
Just
Might
do
wrong,
it.
But just do it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Beautiful.
Pinky.
Thank
Great to see you again. We'll be back right after the break here with more on the House of Wellness.
Don't forget, we are beaming right across the country here on the 7 Network. A show packed with life, nutrition and health.
Later, bad breath, bad news, but we have the good news.
And coming up, a healthy winter salad that will warm up your insides and have your taste buds tingling. Stay with us. We're cooking up a winter storm of flavour next on the House of Wellness.
Double yum, nutritious and delicious from our healthy chef, Zoe Bingley-Pullen there. That was roasted winter veg with warm salad with creamy beetroot dressing.
Delicious.
Is that good?
You can make that for me.
So
if you
healthy.
like. Yum. Did you know, Ed, that beetroots contain betalains, which give them their red colour?
I did not.
And my friend GQ can back me up here. Betalains are one of nature's best anti-inflammatories and antioxidants. So there you go, guys. Just another reason to eat your beets.
Once again, Zoe, a little gem all about colour.
Why, you two are just the bip and bop of nourishment, aren't
We
you?
try.
Amazing. All right, let's get to some of your calls. Pinky stayed with us to help us out as well. Let's grab Kaz, who's standing by in West Melbourne. What's your question first up?
If the directions don't specify, when is the best time of day to take my supplements? Should I take them in the morning or at night? And why does it matter what time of day you take them?
This is a good pharmacist question.
This is bread and butter type stuff.
Yeah.
Now, Kaz, the directions should always specify, and if they don't, ask, but split the day into 24 hours. So twice a day is 12 hours apart, 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night. But never take anything unless it clearly says when to take it.
But there are some supplements that clash as well, right? And you should hear that from the pharmacist before you go home and take.
Whatever you stick down your mouth might clash. So it's a matter of sorting those things out. That's why you always ask. Give your pharmacist a hug and ask the question.
Oh, give him a hug. That might be put off, but that's okay.
Now, Pinky, this query might be up your alley here. Sinead's emailed us in from Braddon in the ACT asking, what foods and vitamins should I be taking and what should I be avoiding whilst breastfeeding?
Great question.
Well, really, you don't have to be a nun while you're breastfeeding. You can eat it, and it's healthiest to get your food, a wide variety of natural foods, is probably the best thing you can do. Now, a lot of mums aren't eating well. I'd say some of the nutrients that are really important while you're breastfeeding are your omega-3s. So that's your salmon, your oily fish like salmon, sardines, tuna, fresh tuna.
I had a question when I was, my baby's, you know, he does a lot of explosive poos, and I thought, is there something to do with what I'm eating? And I have a protein powder and a green powder, and I didn't know if they were safe. And there's a number that you can call. Any breastfeeding mum can call to check, and that's so helpful. That's on our website too at House of Wellness.
That's right. That's really important to just check, because different things will affect different babies. I mean, sometimes it's a food that's passing through your milk. Your baby's never allergic to your milk, but it could be a food that's passing through your milk that your baby's a bit sensitive, and if you've got a family history of allergies, it may be
interesting.
Let me ask this on your behalf. Forget vitamins and so on. What about little bit of alcohol, a little bit of coffee?
Well, caffeine for a newborn, it can actually take about 97 hours for a newborn to metabolise the caffeine in a single cup of coffee. By about 3 to 4 months, it's okay, generally. But test it out with your baby. So if you're drinking quite a bit of coffee, your baby can get quite irritable. With alcohol, with a young baby, they say if you're safe enough to drive, you're safe enough to drink, but it's 2 hours after a standard drink. So if you're having 2 or 3 drinks, it might be 4 to 6 hours that you wait before you breastfeed.
Great advice. Thank you, Pinky.
Interesting.
And thanks, GQ. Back a little bit later on with more of your queries. All right. Now, change tack. There are lots of jokes about incontinence out there, but the condition isn't funny if you suffer from it. But I want to show you a little clip from someone who has found a way to have some fun with it.
As a stand-up comedian, incontinence is something that we kind of encourage, because if we can make you laugh that hard, we're doing a good job, right? I mean, it's a pretty awesome responsibility to have. I don't quite mind being known as the guru of the wet through, or the instigator of the saturator, or the high priestess of the dry seat test, if you will.
Well, I got a good laugh tonight with my toilet humour. But when bladder and bowel problems are not a joke, get help.
And please welcome the face of the Laugh Without Leaking campaign, the hilarious Bev Killick. Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
You are the queen of continence.
That's right.
How does that feel?
It feels great because I'm getting help as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I sneezed the other day without having to go into a hold position.
Is that so?
Yeah, because I'm doing my pelvic floor exercises.
Right. So,
I'm doing them now.
So you make yourself laugh too? Oh, my God. But this is the sort of light-hearted approach we kind of need to take for what is a serious subject.
We do. And when they were looking for the face or the ambassador or whatever, they wanted a comedian, they wanted someone my age, and a few people, you know, said my name. And
is that because you were known around town as that kind of lady, or?
Yeah, and I've always been fairly open.
Yes.
You know, privately as well as how can it be open?
I'm surrounded by them.
But yeah, my comedy has that kind of content.
Yeah.
So I do wee stories.
Great.
So
they knew it was authentic.
They did.
Yes.
Yeah.
What comedian doesn't want the audience to piss themselves?
Exactly. So it's a bit of a, you know.
It's a challenge.
But people come up to me. Yeah, it is a challenge. They come up to me all the time saying, I weed myself, I weed myself, I weed myself. You know?
And you're like, perfect.
Great.
And it's like the clip there, it's like, well, thanks, but shouldn't we be doing something about this now?
Well, let's talk about this. And Gerald, this is a fairly typical inquiry that we get here on the show. We've got Robin standing by in Rockhampton in Queensland. What's your query?
I have a very bad problem with incontinence. I can't go anywhere without needing to get to the toilet.
And the stats are quite high, aren't they? Something like 5 million plus.
It is. It can be a quality of life-changing thing, Ed. And there are herbs. There are herbal combinations, Cretiva, Lindera, and Equisetum or horsetail. So these are Australian formulations that actually work well to strengthen smooth muscle. And I know we've got the Queen here. We're in the presence of royalty. But this can be a men's issue as well.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's so.
Yes, and a lot of men don't realise that they have a pelvic floor.
No.
They can do the exercises. Do you want to try it?
Well, you show me some of the exercises that you've used successfully.
You've got to hold, like you've got something up your foof. Right.
It's like, is it like holding your wee?
Would we say
like
foof?
Yeah, it is. It is. Like, are you doing it?
I'm saying foof in my head too.
Foof. So hold something up your foof, and then you've got to squeeze in as well.
As a guy, do I have a foof?
You don't just hold up. Well.
Okay.
Are you doing it or not?
I'm just
pretend you have.
Trying very grammar.
Yeah, okay.
Like, and hold something up your foot, and then squeeze.
Hold.
He's good.
It's not my first foof.
It's tight. Yeah, and tell me now, what is your part of the Laugh Without Leaking campaign?
I'm the ambassador. I'm here to talk about it. I've had instances in my own life. I remember picking up my daughter from school and I had to get home and wee really quickly and they wouldn't come and she was with this little girl, so I had to invent. So I've got...
Oh, here we go.
I've said, OK, hurry up, girls, let's play My Little Ponies. So I'm like this, and they're sort of behind me going, oh, she's fun. And they still weren't fast enough. So I'm like, Gangnam Ponies.
Yeah.
And then you get home and you put the key in the door and as soon as the key goes in the door, your brain goes, yeah, I'm home.
Oh, dear.
Wheedle over the chops.
My goodness. You are the perfect ambassador. You bring the certain required lightheartedness to it and keep the great work going.
Oh, thank you.
We do need to take a wee break here on the I suppose I can say that. We've got more coming up after this.
Coming up, if you've got bad breath, we may have the help you need.
But after the break, we're talking to mothers about postnatal depression.
As I was going to sleep, I'd be praying, just please die in my sleep, please die in my sleep.
Stay with us. We are the House of Wellness.
Welcome back. Now, for me, having a baby was one of the most incredible times of my life, but one of the most challenging. The sleep deprivation, constant feeding, the nappies, so many nappies. It is endless, and it can take its toll.
Yeah, no question. Now, in Australia, 1 in 7 women struggle with postnatal depression, whether they realise it or not. In fact, it can be a frightening and isolating experience. But there are some solutions, so we sent out Zoe Bingley-Pullen on behalf of all our mums to investigate.
Having a baby is the most magical, wonderful and miraculous thing that will ever happen to you. Well, so they say, and that's what you expect.
But for 1 in 7 Australian mums out there, that early experience of motherhood is anything but miraculous.
Being aware that this can impact right from the start of pregnancy is a really important thing, because really your mental health, it's just as important as your physical health.
Terry Smith is the CEO of Panda, who run Australia's only national helpline for individuals and families suffering with the effects of perinatal anxiety and depression.
So what is the difference between baby blues and perinatal anxiety and depression?
Baby blues, generally it's 1, maybe 2 days of feeling pretty devastated, sometime within a week or 2 after the birth, but then that will move on naturally. So depression it might be persistent crying, it might be that you're just withdrawing from family and friends, it might be that you really don't feel yourself and you can't be yourself, you might not want to be with your baby. At the most severe end, that might mean that you have thoughts about hurting yourself, hurting your baby, a sense that your family is going to be better off without you. So it can become quite extreme.
Right now, there are mums all over Australia struggling with the overwhelming emotional turmoil.
But let me put your mind at ease. No matter how bad the diagnosis is, the prognosis is really positive. There are some amazing therapies out there, but more of that later. Right now, I want to introduce you to a mum who not only has gone through it once, but 3 times.
Mel Bishop is living the dream. Stunning home, gorgeous supportive husband, loads of friends and 4 beautiful kids.
Good girl.
But before she sought treatment, things weren't so perfect.
When I had the twins, I'd already had my 2 older sons, and so I'd experienced depression with the second. And so when I started experiencing it with the twins, I knew that I was kind of on the ball, ready to, this is probably going to happen again. I remember I was actually sitting on the tennis court here, and the twins were like, it was when they were about 4 months old, and we had blankets out, and they were rolling around and playing. And it was sunny and it was beautiful, and I was just sitting there crying and crying.
So the big question is, what causes these conditions?
We know that it can be about biological factors, so the hormones. It can be about psychological factors, so that the way your particular brain works, but it can also be social factors. And of course, it can be a combination of all of those or some of those factors.
Mel was the first in her family to have a baby. The anticipation and expectation was enormous. Then began the anxiety driven by fear of her baby dying and the need to be the best mum in the world.
The fact that I was getting all these compliments, which kind of spurred me on to be even more over the top. And so every time somebody told me how wonderful it was that I was doing so much, I did more and more and more because I had to keep that up. The level of depression I felt the second time round was definitely something chemical as well. I was going to bed and I would be, as I was going to sleep, I'd be praying, just please die in my sleep, please die in my sleep and don't wake up.
Oh,
and I couldn't...
That's confronting.
Yeah, it is. And when I woke up, I'd wake up and I would actually cry and I'd have tears every morning that I hadn't passed away in my sleep because I'd been hoping that I would.
Mel eventually got the help she needed, and now she and her family made all the necessary changes to ensure a happy and fulfilling life.
I love you very much.
As I mentioned earlier, There are very effective treatments available for all of these conditions, so don't hesitate to chat with your GP. And of course, exercise along with a super healthy diet can work wonders. I want to tell you about a small yet significant study from the British Journal of Psychiatry. It suggests that mothers who sing lullabies to their babies recover from perinatal anxiety and depression more quickly than mothers on the usual therapies, such as antidepressants.
This piece of research is very exciting, and as we all know, singing really is a cure for the blues. Sounds beautiful.
Meet the Brunswick Women's Choir. Originally established in 1991 as a place for women to get together outside their jobs and family responsibilities. We know singing releases the feel-good hormones oxytocin and endorphins. It's also been shown to improve sleep, reduce heart disease, boost your immune system, and improve circulation.
One of the big things, I think, particularly for young mums, is that sense of being cut off, sometimes from the networks that you used to have, whether in the workplace or with friends, or feeling a bit competitive or frightened of other mums. You know, sometimes it can get a bit bitter. But when you're joining with people who are just doing something quite different, and you don't have to be a mum here, but you don't have to forget you're a mum either.
Just beautiful.
Yeah,
what a story. Now, so many Aussie women, it's like 1 in 7 experience postnatal depression. Are there ways that we can, is there any advice, I guess, that we can give these women?
Yeah, look, I think over and above, we need to acknowledge that there's going to be massive hormonal changes post-pregnancy, and it's not to discount that that will naturally have a drop in our moods. But there is a big difference between what we call baby blues to postnatal or perinatal anxiety and depression. And the take-home message here is over and above, whether you're feeling sad or you're feeling depressed or anxiety, there is no problem in getting help. So help can come in lots of different formats. It can come through psychology, counselling, or simply a friend.
I think also just acknowledging that this space is going to happen helps. Like, I remember just weeping and going, it's okay, I was with the baby blues. And, you know, just knowing.
Look, Zoe, I have a family history of anxiety and depression. I've also experienced it myself. So I geared myself up with a support network around me, knowing that this was highly likely that this could happen to me. I had friends on call. My husband, Michael, was there for me. It was pretty confronting. I did feel very anxious for the first couple of weeks. And I think stories like this just demonstrate how normal it is and how we need to not
We're all in
hide.
it together.
We're all in this together. And the more we have this open conversation, the easier it is for everyone in the family.
We'll get through it. Our kids will age. We'll still be stressed, though. So
And we'll still be pulling our hair out.
We're not out of the woods by a long shot. Great story. Thanks so much, Zoe. Well, it can happen in a meeting. It can happen at the dinner table or during a date. You get close and you realise the person you're talking to has bad breath.
I didn't want to say anything.
Come on.
Just joking. But what do? Avoid having conversations with them, exclude them for social activities, think twice about going on that second date. Who wants to be the bad guy and tell them they have bad breath?
Yeah, that is a dilemma, but it turns out you should tell them. Bad breath can indicate serious health problems. And joining us today to explain is dentist Dr. Luke Cronin. G'day, Dr. Luke.
Thanks very much for having me.
If anyone's going to be in the firing line, it's a dentist staring down scraps all day long.
You must get some bad breath.
How does it form?
So basically, bad breath, there's some very common things that cause it, like garlic and smoking. Then there's things that you don't think about as much. So there's things like what you have with your medication, can dry out your mouth. And then there's some more serious things like gum disease or periodontal disease.
OK, so if we have bad breath, what is the first thing to do?
Well, most of the time you don't know, and that's the scary part. So how do you know if you've got bad breath?
Right. Well, you don't.
Someone is like, ooh. Right?
That's right.
What do you do? Ask somebody?
Yeah, ask somebody. I mean, it's quite confronting and your friends may not actually tell you.
Yeah.
You may need some new friends, but if you find a close friend, they will help you. And you need to know, and then you need to look into ways that you can fix it.
So are we talking about the day after a garlic bread, when your breath's bad for a little bit, or ongoing, like daily bad breath?
It's more the ongoing one, and a lot of it can become really quite... You know, it can lower your self-esteem. You may not know why your interactions are changing, but it can be a cause of that.
Oh my gosh, it's not funny, but it's actually really sad if it's that bad, right? How do we avoid, though, developing bad breath to the point where these things could happen? Halitosis even.
So basically the simple thing is you need to see a dentist regularly because they will be honest with you and your friends may not be. You need to maintain...
You'd tell us, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
Do you want to say something?
No, it's okay.
Good.
Although there is a lot of garlic in the muffins.
Yep.
Or you need to brush your teeth, you need to floss them regularly.
Yeah.
Brush your tongue as well as a source
That's
of a
a big
lot
one.
of bacteria.
I think lots of people forget to brush their tongues.
Right, yeah. So what does the tongue brushing do?
So the bacteria in your mouth is what causes the smell.
Yeah.
So if you lose saliva from your medication or you don't clean your tongue and there's a lot of bacteria growing in there, that will create more of a smell.
Okay, so a sign of bad breath can be pretty serious and be like a bit of a preemptive strike perhaps against some worse health conditions.
That's right, and the link between gum disease and heart disease is very strong. So if you're predisposed to heart disease and you've got gum disease as well, it's going to increase the risk of those events happening.
You need to check that
and
out.
that can all be detected just as simply by having bad breath.
All right, so I guess we need some braveness. Someone needs to step up and tell you if you've got bad breath. Also see a dentist, you'll do it. You'll probably do it daily, right?
Yes.
And make sure you get the honest answer that you're seeking. And finally, brush your teeth twice a day, flossing as well.
And the tongue.
And brushing the tongue, even though it tickles like nothing else.
That's right.
All right, great tips. Thanks, Dr. Luke. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you in the chair. Don't forget, too, we have got a radio version of the House of Wellness. Sunday mornings, we beam out right across the land. You can catch us in all the capital cities.
We are on the airwaves right across the country. Loads more great information there. Make sure you tune in.
Coming up, if you're suffering from a winter cough, the A to Z of vitamins is for you.
But next, we look into the cause of dry and itchy winter skin and what you can do.
It's all here on the House of Wellness.
Welcome back to the House of Wellness. Now, eczema affects 1 in 3 Australians at some stage in their life. In fact, more than half of all sufferers show some signs within their first 12 months.
Yes, winter can be such a difficult time of the year for the eczema sufferers. Even my little baby's got it.
Oh.
But why is it worse in the cold weather? What can we do about it? We are joined by the president of the Eczema Association of Australasia, Cheryl Talent. Cheryl, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, eczema, it's so common in Australia. Why?
A lot of it's to do with our environment. We have a lot of pollens and grasses that people react to. We have toxins in the air and the water. So people with eczema are a bit more sensitive. They have a defective skin barrier. So that means they lose moisture and they need to replace that and try and avoid their triggers.
Okay, now I would have thought it's clearly a bit of a climatic trigger as well. I would have thought with the humidity of summer it might have been worse, but not the case. Winter is more of a crisis time.
Yeah, it's really, it gets so dry in the winter and we stick our heating on. Plus, we don't drink as much water, so that's sort of hydrating from the inside. And we need to up our moisturiser, so double your moisturiser application.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. Now, are there any particular solutions that we can use? Products, anything else like that?
Well, number one, go and see your GP and you may need a topical steroid to get on top of a flare. But look at your products. Something like Dermavine that has oatmeal in, that's a natural anti-inflammatory, so it's a great product to use. Change from a soap-free wash to a bath and shower oil, so you're moisturising while you're washing. And just moisturise, moisturise, moisturise.
Alrighty. I mean, it seems that in summer it clears up a little bit. The sunshine probably helps as well. And if you have it badly as a little young toddler, sometimes you kind of grow out of it too, don't you? So don't be too alarmed. Would that be fair enough?
Well, yes and no. It is a genetic defect in your skin, so you never really get rid of it, but you get your body adapts to living with a defective skin barrier, but it can reoccur at any time. So that's why 1 in 3 Australians will suffer at some stage in their lives.
Alrighty.
So often they have it as a baby, and then it'll reoccur as they get older.
Yeah, okay. Some great tips there, though, for those bracing themselves for these cooler months with the eczema flaring up again. As Cheryl mentioned, visit your health professional. Maybe you'll need an eczema management plan and review your products. One of the ones you mentioned was this Dermavine that comes highly recommended by you and your team as well. And there's also an eczema strain probiotic you can consider taking as well. So that's an option also.
Fantastic.
Great tips. Nice to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks very much.
Stay with us. We are back after this quick break here on the House of Wellness. Welcome back to the show. A to Z of vitamins time now with these winter months ahead of us. Over the next long haul here, we all know we can be affected by viruses, sore, tickly throats and so on, lingering coughs that don't seem to want to go away. But Gerald, you've got a delicious option to help treat this.
I want to talk to you very briefly, Ed and Zoe, about something that's thick and gooey and sweet and delicious, and it's Manuka honey.
I thought you were going to say yourself.
I hadn't thought of that, but thank you. Manuka honey. So here we've got an antibacterial, soothing, natural substance that is not only supportive, but it's very healthy as well. So if you've got an irritated throat and it's just annoying you, consider Manuka honey. So the fact that it's a food is quite remarkable.
I take the high grade one, which doesn't taste as lovely as normal honey, but it's very potent. When I feel like I'm coming down with something, it nips it.
It's perfect.
In the bud. And then for maintenance, I use like a 30 plus.
Yes.
Because we talk about MGO,
yes,
right?
And UMF.
And so are they the same thing? How do we...
The UMF is the standard. So we're talking here about the industry standard.
Yes.
So you've got to have levels
Okay.
that you can equate the foods to. So the UMF is unique Manuka factor.
All right.
The MGO is methyl glyoxal, which is a New Zealand standard of the strength of the Manuka.
Okay, interesting.
Most delicious thing you have prescribed for us
Thank
on
you,
this
Ed.
show. And the A to Z of vitamins brought to us by Go Healthy. For healthy energy and vitality, try New Zealand's #1 premium supplements now available in Australia. All right, a couple of calls before we go, guys. Standing by patiently. We go to you, Tilly, in Warrnambool in Victoria. How can we help?
I have tendinitis in the Achilles in both my legs. How can I help relieve the pain?
Tilly's Achilles.
Ouch.
The standards, Tilly, very important. And you should go and see a podiatrist as well, because the podiatrist will look at the skin, the foot integrity as well. So turmeric for pain.
Yeah.
Omega-3s to lower inflammation. And magnesium at night for sleep. But the podiatrist is important.
What about like a magnesium spray or oil for the outside of the skin, transdermal?
Yes, on the back of the Achilles. All of that's going to help.
All righty. Quickie, this is an email from Fernanda in Toukley. Gerald, I'm currently taking ATAC and 4 milligrams for my blood pressure. I'd like to know if there's a natural alternative I could try. What's ATAC do?
That's for blood pressure. Okay. And the safe complementary medicine clinically proven over and over and over again for combination is aged garlic extract.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a capsule you take twice a day, and it's a brilliant intervention.
You do love that aged garlic extract,
Well,
don't
it's
you?
been around for a long time, and it's got lots of clinical trials.
But here's the thing, won't give you the bad breath.
No.
So
Very
have
good.
to ask those hard questions with our dentist, will we?
That's right.
won't.
All right, guys, we've got to go. That is another healthy week here on the House of Wellness. For more information on today's stories, you can watch them back via our website at houseofwellness.com.au. Now, next week, we're going to take a look at how to beat the winter blues, and we've got a special guest joining us on the sofa. Georgia Love will be here on the show. Zoe, what did you learn and love today?
So many things today, but I do love the story about bad breath because there's so many people out there struggling and they don't know they have it, and now they've got some tools on how to make it better.
All right, great show, guys. Thanks for being with us. Thank you for joining us too, and to our friends at Chemist Warehouse, as always. That's all from us. Have a healthy and well week.